This is hot chocolate. I want you to see it. This is beautiful. Beautiful. Today's reflection is inspired by a conversation that I had this morning with a girl who is my Instagram mutual. We were talking about creating content. We were just sharing our experiences and discussing how putting yourself out there and starting anything new is intimidating and very uncomfortable at first. We were also yapping about some creators who, make videos, post videos online, and the way that they express, basically obsessing over their identity. So we finished that discussion, but because I continue to think about conversations that I have with people for at least 2 days after the conversation is done, I kept thinking about people obsessing over their identities when they put them on the internet. Not even just when you put them on the internet, but in general, we don't see as many authentic creatives, which is a normal thing. It's not like, this person is an architect. That's pretty unusual and weird. Like, that's actually weird. When you say a creative or an artistic person to me, I'm like, yeah, that's a normal human being. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. You should be passionate and, wanting to, and seeing art and beauty everywhere. It's an innate human thing. It's like breathing. I don't see creativity as something that you need to earn or learn. It's something that you need to maintain and not let it die, in my opinion. That's why creativity is feminine. This is actually a very smart thing I just said. Masculinity needs to be earned and femininity needs to be preserved. Because when you think about it, creativity and art is naturally a more feminine polarity. So it needs to be taken care of. It is there. It's the source of life. It's the source of any new creation that you bring into this world. It needs to be really, really, really nourished and cherished and taken care of. This is so good. From my perspective, we try to attach ourselves to it. We're like, okay, this is super cool. It's like learning that you can backflip and then telling everyone, yo, by the way, I backflip. Or waking up at 5 a.m. and it's like rare and cool and obviously valuable. So now you're telling everyone, do you know I wake up at 5 a.m.? You know what I mean? This is one of those things. When it comes to creativity, it's so rare because it's authentic, if it is authentic, that we want to attach our whole identity to it. It's like, yo, by the way, I make this. I am an artist. I am a poet. I am a singer. I am a painter. All of those things. And it's super interesting. It's like we want to put a label on something immeasurable, almost like we don't feel secure enough in the godliness of this phenomenon that we want to put a word on it, like a name on it, like a status thing to seal it. It doesn't preserve creativity. It only makes your soul rot from the inside. When you obsess over your identity, over who you are, or who you should be in order to stay authentic and stay rare, it's a contradiction by definition. You're trying to preserve something by putting a staple on it. It needs to be preserved by being set free and experienced, Okay, enough yapping. Let me actually get to the point and explain to you what I mean. So there is this obsession with labels and identities. It's like, who am I? Someone who's afraid to let go. Very funny. We encounter creativity blocks through trying to identify who we are in the process of creation. Why I said that creativity isn't rare? Because it's not like you have to know how to play the guitar. It's not like you have to know how to write poetry to be creative. It's not like you have to articulate extremely well or be the best painter to be an artist. Or if you are an artist and you feel hurt by me telling you that everyone is an artist, you might be too identified with your ego. I'm sure we all know this feeling of an existential crisis when you're trying to place yourself somewhere in the world where your identification with what you do, who you are, what you stand for fits there. And you're like, yeah, I'm actually safe. This is kind of like purposeful. This feels right. And we try to do it with words naturally. And when something so important as your identity doesn't fit into the picture of what you built for it, it's exhausting and it's very scary. Not scary because there's something wrong with you that you need to fix. It's scary because it challenges your soul. The scared part of who you are in this situation is your soul, who is inside of you screaming to be released, and it just wants to play. It doesn't want to be put in a category of, now you're a poet, enjoy this, go write poetry, now you're a poet, go off, Lisa. It just wants to be set free. It just wants to be. It sounds very basic. I feel like this realization isn't like super deep, but for me it is. Like I got it and I was like, let me yap about this, because I feel like it can hit deeply if you think about it. You're trying to make everything about you analytical. You're trying to name yourself things. You're trying to Reach a point in your studies where you'll be able to call yourself a doctor or a master of something or a professional in something or a certified personal trainer, a licensed dietitian. With visual art, music, and poetry, I feel like you just have to accumulate a skill that is valid enough in your own eyes in order to call yourself an artist of that sort, so that's easier. But we are desperately trying to call ourselves something, to try to fit our soul into the world, while all the soul needs is to just simply create and be. Stop putting such pressure on your shoulders in order to be something. Not just, oh, be something that you're not. No, even when you are yourself, you're desperately trying to be more of yourself, more of what you expect yourself to be, because an artist wouldn't do this. What do you mean? Be you. Be you. My content is getting too deep. Don't click off. You know what's actually interesting? I actually made a board when I was super down bad. I don't want to say that it's a pattern that repeats in the way that I say it, but every few months, I am very down bad. I kind of get reborn, if you've noticed. Hope you didn't. I made a board of who I am. This is how down bad. If you know, you know. I had to script who is Lisa Bashkova because I was very confused. In the middle of me reading the holy books and studying theology, so that type of vibe, you get the idea. Identifying yourself with something isn't bad innately. Experience words, experience titles, they're here for a reason. But don't focus on them to the point where your soul is suffering because you don't let it be, because you want to be an artist. And an artist wouldn't write poetry if the artist paints or something like that, you know? Let me actually read it to you. This is a cool practice that you can do if you feel extremely confused in who you are and you want to validate your skills, your values, your ideas, or just ground yourself more in your beliefs and like, yo, I'm actually pretty cool. Or who you want to be. If you don't know who you are, it's like, I would like to be this. You might want to make a vision board of people who inspire you, who represent values that you want to accumulate in your life, or just things that you want to be. Actually, shout out Shimon Davis. We were having a conversation a few weeks ago that slightly inspired this thought process right now. He told me, I am myself for a living. And that clicked. That clicked. There is no identification with any kind of a forced status or title. It's just, yeah, I am myself for a living. That good enough level is good enough already because you are yourself for a living. I don't know if I put it in the right words, but it really hit home for me. I was like, yeah, but I'm actually looking for this thing that I wrote to kind of help me identify myself in the world. Where is it? Now that I'm looking at it, I don't want to read it. You waited for nothing. This is too personal. I would lose aura by telling you who I am, you know? You have to find out for yourself. Feel it. Most often gravitate to people who are just themselves. Don't really fit the standard. Like, I can't really tell what they do. Like, this isn't a content creator. This isn't a music artist, a skater. This isn't an athlete. They do a lot of cool stuff that I could name, like actions, like vibes, like the things that they say, but I don't know. This is the thing. You don't have to know. In a way, your reputation, not meaning like the level of respect that you have in people's eyes, because I feel like that's pretty important. If you are a good person, not like that. If you do good things, you have some kind of a good reputation. That's good. Like, don't ruin it, please. Let's try to be good people, right? But ruin your identification in order to gain freedom is the best way to put it. It's like, don't try to be something that can be named. Be and play. That's the whole thing. Very, very slippery slope that I'm stepping into right now. I read it somewhere. I don't remember what kind of a book it was. It was, again, like a month ago or something. It wasn't The Power of Now, or was it? It was something. Or was it a podcast? I don't even know where I get my information from God. It was something like, religion is a hindrance if it only operates through the level of the mind. Whoa. And it can be so easily hated on. This is why, the whole atheistic movement was so cool, was so like, yeah, we're smart. There's no God. Because it kind of makes sense. You start to think about it and you're like, you guys kind of think about it in a weird way. It doesn't really work like that. And when you think about it, it doesn't work like that because when you put it in your mind, it doesn't make any sense. Because religion is a system that's supposed to be understood on a level in the mind, but when it operates and the values are set into action still through the level of the mind, then it loses its entire purpose. Religion was supposed to be like a machine, like a tool, like a vehicle for information. But when it becomes the only thing that operates the set of values, then it's caged on the level of the mind and becomes a hindrance. Does it make sense? Just like any identity. If the art that you make only operates through the level of the mind, where I am an artist, I make this. You're not an artist. I mean, you are technically, but it becomes less valuable, less authentic, less real. I just say simplify things, act more than you yap. If yapping is your form of action, then yap. Just like I'm doing right now. Definitely just stop identifying with stuff and start doing more things that set your soul on fire, that are actually true and real. And they're not just a vehicle of operating this set of values, but are actually the values set into action in order for this whole thing to work and be authentic. For your soul to be free, essentially. That's what the video is for. Don't cage your soul. Just be real. Cute. Also, have some dark chocolate. Have half of soya milk, half of hot water, 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder, real one, not the Nesquik type, but like the actual cacao. And you put it in there, you boil it. When it's boiling, you grab literally just a tiny little bit of cornstarch. In another cup, you dissolve it with a little bit of water so it doesn't have clumps, you know. It's the only purpose of this. In another cup. You just stir it. This concoction you pour into the boiling pot. It makes it thicker and the consistency is just more enjoyable. Sweeten it to your liking, but no honey, because when honey gets hot, it loses its nutritional value. So also remember to subscribe. I'm actually super curious how many people watch me and are not subscribed. That's just genuinely lame. The salt lamp just fell.